like, I actually don't think we have a playstyle right now, in summer at least. I think we had 2 different playstyles in spring. I think we had the initial one at the start of spring, which was very slow. And I agree. It was very calculated, don't take risks. I get where the narrative comes from there. I think in playoffs, in the regular season and playoffs, it became much more of a, like, look for aggressive plays, match aggressive moves from the other team. So obviously if the other team plays really slow, then there's going to be less aggressive things happening. Same thing happened in a Fnatic game sometimes in summer, not so much in spring. And I think now, I don't think any team has really fully figured out how they want to play the game yet. I think it's just very draft dependent. But if the team we play against want to go completely crazy, fight everywhere, then we're going to fight them everywhere as well, because that's how you have to match them. And then we just have to beat them in those fights. And I actually looked at something coming into this. You know who has the 3rd most kills in the league?
Yeah? Is it you? Is it Origen?
Which team could that be? It's Origen.
Wow.
Very close to 2nd most kills in the league. So I don't want to hear we have no kills in our games. I don't want to hear.
Did you pick kills instead of kills per minute because you didn't want to talk about your long-ass game time?
Okay, game time decided on.
Martin, I don't want to fight with you.
That's unlucky.
Anyway, Martin, we got one. You had some fast games. That first G2 game was beautiful. Was everything we wanted to see. After that, and admittedly, your slow games and your losses aren't a problem, but when we look at the, I think, more relevant... Damn it, I'm getting pulled in. Martin, you're so good at this. You're so good at derailing me. He is incredible at derailing any conversation. Fun fact, Martin's longest answer in that episode of the Euphoria podcast
12 minutes.
8 minutes and 46 seconds.
Oh, I thought it was 12.
The man could go. He needs no one else to hold the conversation. It was why he was such a fantastic shoutcaster. Hopefully it's going to do him some favors as a general manager for Origen as well. We're going to see how they do. But on the opposite side of the table is Schalke No Fear. Now, due to a medical emergency, Gilius will be replacing Lorox in Schalke's game today. Obviously, get better soon, Lorox. Wish you the best and hope that you're feeling better already, if possible. But sadly, we can't see you today. But of course, Gilius is interesting because we were waiting to see what kind of more variables get thrown at us from the Schalke camp, how they improve, and certainly changing a player is going to change something. Will it be positive or negative is something we got to find out.
Yeah, and also it's always exciting when you get to see Gilius like, he's back on the Rift, because I feel like he's got like 2 modes. One of them is perhaps running it down. The other one is like dunking on kids. So which one are we going to get? Are we going to get the int or are we going to get the dunk?
Look, it's a damn good question, and as far as I'm concerned, I don't see Kikis anywhere. The man's safe.
Guys, it's dead. You keep bringing it back. It's just a dead horse.
That's what we're about here.
Yeah, I know.
Yes. Anyway, as we get ready for picks and bans, this game is going to be, I think, interesting from an Origen side. I was sort of memeing upset about it yesterday, but I think there's a lot of pressure on Origen to find a win. You go, why, Drakos? Why? Origen are way far ahead in the standings. Well, Schalke haven't won a game yet. So while there's always kind of this lingering pressure, at this point you have to wonder if they're just chilling, hoping that maybe this can be the one. On the opposite end for Origen, you don't want to be the team that gives Schalke their first win, and doubly so when you used to play on this lineup. So I'm looking at upset and wondering if he's sweating a little bit.
I mean, I don't know. I guess you take a look at what's happening the rest of the LEC. Like, anyone can be anyone. If you fumble a draft, you can get punished pretty hard. But Schalke, it's been rough. I mean, if you've watched any of the games, I don't need to remind anyone, it has been really rough for this squad to find their synergy. So maybe Gilius today gives them that extra burst of motivation. Maybe they've got something fancy planned.
And see how much this pick ban strategy does change, because as you said, draft hugely important here in competitive League of Legends, just in general. But now for Origen, we'll see if they want to go for something similar to what they had yesterday. We talked to Upset once again on the post-game lobby, and he told us a little bit about Origen failing to recognize and execute on their win conditions in the late game, getting caught up in the moment, something they cannot afford to do today. And on the opposite side for Schalke, it's a bit of a puzzle to figure out how exactly to draft against Origen. But for now, the name of the game is bot lane bans.
Yeah, the Aphelios has kind of been the go-to for Origen. Aphelios Nautilus, I think, has been a staple of a lot of their comps. I do like the fact that Deficio, when we had him on E04, was talking about how Origen don't really feel like they know their playstyle right now. They're much of a chameleon. They kind of just react to the team that they're facing right now. If they're against a G2 and Fnatic, they're a lot more proactive and lively and scrappy, willing to take those fights. If they're against a more slower-paced team, they usually rely on scaling. But against Mad Lions yesterday, it felt like Origen kind of lost the plot about what their composition's win conditions were going to be. Upset talked about it in PGL, and they tried to team fight against a team fight comp when they should have just played a side lane.
A difficult thing, and not a mistake you can afford to make against a team like Mad Lions. And while Schalke have definitely had a struggle, it's the start of the split here, still not a team you can afford to underestimate. A lot of talent on this lineup. Here we go, first bans. Now it's important to note, Syndra's up and available, and that's going to be the first pick. Aphelios, Ezreal, also both on the table as well.
And I was talking to some teams, and something interesting about Syndra, even though she is considered a flex pick, is that there's not a lot of strong AD mid laners right now. So when you have a Syndra, it almost always is going to go into the mid lane because you need to have that 80 damage that's coming out of the other position and diversify your damage portfolio. So even though Syndra has great matchups in isolation against bot lanes or a lot of bot laners, usually when you see Syndra, it's still going to be Syndra mid, because if you run her bot lane, then you have to run either an AD jungler, carry jungler, or an AD mid laner, and it's a little bit harder for teams to find the right picks there.
Yeah, and damage profiles are, of course, very important when you consider especially top, mid, and jungle and how those stack up with each other. See if it is Nukeduck's Syndra or upsets, something we don't see quite as frequently, but the Ezreal locked in is a quick confirmation to your point, taking away the potential of that flex pick from Syndra, arguably mitigating some of what it provides in the draft, but definitely 3 champions here already on the Origen side that are A to S tier this early in the draft, but with all the bot lane bans coming out, it's a similar story for Schalke. They got themselves their hands on the, well, last patch's premier jungle, although it appears Volibear is definitely taking some of the thunder away from the Trundle hype.
This last pick should be the Nautilus, if it's going to go with the Aphelios Nautilus combo that we see majority of the time, especially when you have an Ezreal. There we go. Nautilus' ultimate works fairly well against Ezreal because it can follow him. Hopefully then you're able to line up the Q. Still pretty easy for Upset to feel safe, despite the fact that you have a targetable ult like the Depth Charge looking across at you.
I'm a little bit worried for Neon though, because while this bot lane combo is certainly powerful, it doesn't have any protective elements for the Aphelios. So with the Thresh banned away, with the Tahm Kench not being the option that Schalke could go for here, I wonder if they try to limit the options for Origen in terms of, let's say, easy 80 carry access. Things like the GP that we've seen very good. Malphite as well could be another follow-up ban, something that can just get on top of the Aphelios and deny his ability to really output damage in a fight.
Yeah, the one thing that Origen have going for them is that flex pick of that Volibear, because it could be jungle or top lane. So I feel like you're going to take away kind of big power picks and see where it lands. Ultimately, Schalke will kind of get the last laugh because they have counter pick. I imagine it will be a blind pick, or not a blind pick, because you see Syndra, it'll be the mid laner on the 4th pick for Schalke here, and then they'll give the counter pick to Odoamne. I feel like a big issue in a lot of Schalke's games, as I'm going to say it, I think Odo's their best player. He hasn't had the best split comparatively to how on fire he was for spring, but a lot of time he's been on weak side tank duty, and I want to see Odo get more of these carry-oriented bruiser picks, so that's what I'm looking for. Use that counter pick, give Odo some power.
And I mean, that's bold, Froskurinn, because the thing is even if I agree with you, even if I think Odoamne is the best player on this lineup, he's going up against Alphari, so that's a difficult task, and he's going up against Alphari, who has the potential to flex this Volibear, so he's going to need to, I feel like, dig deep into the champion pool, potentially show us something new if that's the route that Schalke want to take here. For now, though, it's the last ban for Origen. The Ornn, the GP, the safe blind picks taken away. Oriana now going to follow. Question is, what do Schalke prioritize here? They know their mid lane matchup, so maybe here is where they want to lock in that choice and save the last pick for Odo.
Yeah, and there's plenty of mid laners open. I like the fact that you deny the Oriana, one of the blind, or not blind, but one of the mid laners that can survive some of the burst damage by using the shield and building a bit more defensively. I think you have really good setup with the Nautilus, so I'd like to see something that could roam and participate with Neon and Dreams down there. That would do it.
Wow, Abbedagge, LeBlanc, have not seen it in a while, and now the immediate response from Origen is the TK hover.
Okay, yeah, at this point you're like, I'm against the Nautilus, I see the LeBlanc. You probably want a defensive option here.
And there's not a ton of good, reliable defensive options at this point. They could try for the Braum, but instead it will be the Tahm Kench. I am never a fan of Tahm Kench without Aphelios in the current meta, but from Origen's side, I get it. There is a LeBlanc. As you said, there is the Nautilus, so giving a lot of respect over that engage, and now we get to see the blind pick coming in from Alphari. Rocking the Croc in the top lane. Odoamne, the gauntlet has been set. You get the counter pick. You know the Volibear's jungle. What does he pick here?
Could you see a ranged top laner? I have a very specific one in mind. That
Kennen. He played a lot of Kennen.
Usually gives Renekton a hard time.
He could play Kennen.
He could play Quinn.
Oh my
yes.
God. What? This was how long has it been since we saw this as a counter pick in Renekton? It was the last Worlds?
I mean,
only at this. It was wild card. It was not wild card. Sorry, it was the plans.
I mean,
think was
I know
the last
you
time.
were calling for the Kennen. I think the Quinn's gonna offer a similar thing. Her ability, her trade patterns with the Renekton, her ability to continuously poke him and whittle him down. It's still just as brutal as it was. I think with, did she build Death's Dance? I'd have to check.
Back in the day, I don't think Death's Dance was OP back then. I think it was just Blade of the Rune King.
I'm just saying that, like, with the
lethality.
different itemization changes since the last time that we kind of personally saw this one at Worlds before us, maybe it gets a little bit better for Renekton, but I still feel like this is Quinn favored.
I think you have to think that because her kit is incredibly obnoxious 1v1. And I'm ready to see Schalke play a very different game. This team comp does not look like the 5v5 monster. There's a lot more splitting up, looking for picks, and still solid damage output from the Aphelios as we move later. But here we are, getting ready, getting into game, and I gotta say, I don't want to say I'm fired up about Schalke because I'm ever the skeptic, but I'm ready to see what they can do with something that isn't just stock standard, scale it out in the early game.
I think the nice thing is the agency that champions like LeBlanc and Quinn give players like Odoamne and Abbedagge, because it feels like Schalke don't have the team coordination to actually try to play a fairly standard team fight-oriented composition. And so by allowing these guys to kind of be masters of their own fate, decide when they want to go in, roam around, maybe we start seeing more of a hit-and-run style of League of Legends for Schalke, rather than just trying to rely on coordination, synergy, communication, and walking back to front with Niana and Aphelios.
And to be fair, it makes sense, because as much as I think that Gilius can be a solid jungler for a team, he's also a player that probably hasn't practiced a lot with his team. So drafting a composition that puts more individual power into the hands of your player and less team-reliant power feels like it makes sense given Schalke's circumstances for the game today. That said, got to keep our eyes on these early laning phases. Syndra LeBlanc especially can be very explosive. Good gank setup for both of these mid laners, and the Trundle and Volibear have the potential to get quite aggressive here early on, as we see VoD on the top side. Definitely do not want to contest that one. Quinn can be quite obnoxious.
Yeah, really using the power of that 2v2 top side for, I'm going to call it a delay invade, walking in. Now, this does mean that Alphari technically kind of gets first access to the minion wave, but we'll see if Odoamne is able to follow through on the power of the Quinn in some of these individual matchups and try to punish Alphari, because so far he's really been the king of top laners. I think his stats reflect it, and Origen's performance really reflects it.
Definitely has, but you can see already early trade power for Odoamne looks pretty nice. Alphari doing what he can with the Cold Meek, but until level 3, Renekton doesn't feel like he's going to be able to do much of anything.
And we have a split map scenario happening right now. Although we'll see if Gilius actually pokes his head for a quick gank on the mid lane. No, he's actually trying to run across to his blue buff. Ooh, I don't know about this one.
Destiny's going to start to poke his head in here. Xerxe's there as well. We've heard how powerful Volibear has been in the jungle. But Dream's stepping down. Destiny trying to dissuade the engage there.
I'm trying to decide if I like this from Gilius or not. I mean, obviously, he gets there too late to defend his blue buff, and then he loses all of that time where he could have been farming his camps. That said, you still technically get the advantages of a split map because there's no camps for Xerxe to be farming onto the top side, so it still allows Odoamne to play really aggressively with his Quinn. So I think that the only downfall there is that Gilius didn't get there in time and maybe wasted some time for himself on a Trundle, but in Trundle versus Volibear as your matchup, like, they're both just kind of scale and be tanks at some point, so it's not the end of the world, and it still empowers his Quinn topside because there's no reason for Xerxe to be there.
Upset Destiny just going to deny that engage there. And I think you're right, Froskurinn. The most important part, even if the execution isn't flawless, is that the split map is still there, which means that Odoamne still just gets to sit, abuse that range advantage, deny the potential engages from Alphari on the top lane, and build up, at this point, a pretty small CS lead. Have to keep our eyes on that one, see if that starts to blow open as we move later in the game. But for now, our attention shifts to mid lane as both junglers run in.
This is actually important because we're going to be fighting over the Scuttle. There's a chance that Abba and Gilius can get both Scuttle Crabs, which is what Xerxe and Nukeduck are actually trying to contest here. But because Nukeduck doesn't have the priority, Abba got him forced into the tower. See, this is not about the mid lane. This is about double crab. Yeah,
and I gotta respect it. But it is
like, you get the crab, man. It took 3 people, but we got it for you.
And I gotta say, I like what we've seen from Schalke so far. Gilius is gonna grab the crab, and admittedly in the back end of that play, Abbedagge dodging half the combo coming in from Nukeduck. Very tight timing window there. Now Gilius stepping forward, Alphari gonna be in trouble, but Xerxe's here as well. The Volibear is still gonna be quite strong now. Gilius is running for the hills. They're trying to get something done. Gilius, oh no, one more W will be more than enough. They can't finish it. Started so good for Schalke, but just like that, things start to shift.
Oh, disaster. They thought they felt strong. Unfortunately, Gilius goes down. I mean, maybe the silver lining is that Alphari didn't pick up the kill, and that both top laners retained their flash, but Sever feels good moment, has dreams.
He can get something done. Maybe he can shift
Hit
this
the
back
chain.
a little bit. Level 5 is going to get the follow-up hook. Is not able to deny that one. Nukeduck is going to be forced to flash away. Will hold on to his life, but losing that flash will be important for the plays to come. Syndra obviously very immobile.
Yeah, and the fact that Abbedagge didn't have enough mana to really follow up and look for the kill there, you know, maybe if he did, he would have had the damage. As I'll hold it for a second, because slow push onto a big crash means that a potential dive, but Gilius is in the wings here.
It's going to be difficult, though. Challenging Smite can be very good for the one-on-one. Odoamne going to try and get it. If they find the kill, yes! The backflip back over. That was incredible from Odoamne. That's going to be massive. It denies the play from going down. That was their only option. If they didn't burst out one of the members, Alphari would have showed up and he would have turned that play around.
That is the one stylish play that you get to make on Quinn, and it feels so good when you do it because you just look like a ninja where you just flip over a wall. You're like, see ya. And think about it, he flashed into, I think, a stun at first. I'm like, oh no, did he just flash into die? It's fine, he got the flip off.
Yeah, it's good. That's some Assassin's Creed stuff right there. You got to respect the parkour plays. And incredibly important that that happened because I thought that this might just be the end of this topside matchup, that Odoamne would not get his isolated matchup. They would just make it a 2v2 instead where they had the gold advantage. But instead now Odoamne can feel a lot more confident. And when he backs here on this wave, early itemization is going to make Alphari's life so miserable.
And I think on first back, and especially when Renekton and Quinn are both missing their flashes, it still wins out for the Quinn now in kind of the extended trades because she has more agency in terms of when she wants to take the trades because she can disengage herself from it.
That said, I think like any matchup into a Renekton, any ranged matchup, it's about keeping a cool head, not over committing, because all it takes is for Renekton to land one combo really to start to turn this around because you are so squishy and vulnerable. So have to keep eyes on Odo to play, I'm not gonna say flawlessly, but cannot afford to make too many mistakes here.
And of course, Odo, thank you observers, showcasing that he can use his bird form to quickly get back and forth to the lane phase, which allowed him to take cleanse as opposed to the teleport, which will help him stay a little bit safer in this matchup when you're dealing with CC, as well as the big pieces of CC from Syndra.
And this team compositions are very interesting, Froskurinn, because it's outside of the Aphelios on the bottom lane. I don't think the story for either side here is really sit back and scale, which puts us into an interesting point when we get later and later into the game, because it's going to require a very different look from both these teams compared to what we saw yesterday.
Oh, hunt him down, Odo.
He's debating. He's trying to find his way. You want to get that double dash. Use the first half. She blocks off. Now you have the second half if she overcommits, but Odoamne he's playing back. He's not going in for another auto.
But we do have an issue where Gilius has been spotted. They walked over wards. They know that he's bottom side of the map, and so this control ward looks like it's going to dissuade Xerxe, but you can constantly see that Origen are cheating towards this top side and trying to threaten a potential dive, because while Odo in the 1v1 can start to pick and whittle away around Renekton if he's patient, he is susceptible to those dives.
And Soul RNG is going to be pretty important in this game. Of course, Ocean is the next Drake that will be spawning, which means we're going to have Infernal or Mountain. Now, Mountain, not highly consequential to the side of Schalke. Really not that good at all, to be honest, but Infernal will be massive for a LeBlanc or a Quinn on a side lane as we get later.
I mean, Infernal's always going to be a big thing, but what you're kind of alluding to is that these champions really rely on having kill pressure. If they can't 100-0 someone, especially that backline, they lose so much of their emphasis.
Interestingly, though, this is one of the reasons why, while I still don't love the Tahm Kench, I like that OG have their hands on Ezreal. And of course, they drafted the Quinn into it, but having that additional safety, would love to see an Iceborne Gauntlet this game coming in for upset, something that just allows him to peel back and get away. Unfortunate hook there for Dreams. Well-timed observers to get us down here to the bottom side of the map. And for now, I just think that we've kind of swapped roles. Top lane for the longest time we called the wet noodle fight, but to me this bot lane is really just no one's killing anyone. We're just farming up. This bot lane is the new top lane, because top lane is murder city right now. At any moment, a single mistake means one of these top laners dies.
But don't you feel that that's just Ezreal and Tahm Kench like ruining the day?
That's true. I miss the days when people would pick Ezreal, Tahm, Kench, and the instant response was slamming Vayne because Ezreal, Tahm, Kench has so little lane pressure that you can just scale into infinity. But, of course, already had the Aphelios. Makes sense in the context of the game. And Nukeduck doing his best to just play this lane very far back, not stepping forward for these aggressive trades. Still going to get pillared off. Of course, does not have the flash from earlier. Schalke trying to capitalize on this window, but caution from Nukeduck saves the day.
Yeah, pulling Dreams as well, but the wave placement obviously kept Nukeduck very safe. He knew that it's really the chain landing that would be the death of him, and his wave control and staying safe means that Nukeduck's going to have his flash back up, so huge sigh of relief as now we have the Herald swap coming in.
Set checking.
Just making sure that Nukeduck isn't walking into a trap. And because Aphelios, Neon, is still on the bottom side of the map, it is going to be a numbers advantage for Origen.
Additionally, the longsword potentially confirming that we will have the Trinity Force for upset. Obviously, pretty solid protecting himself, that additional move speed, but I love the Iceborne. I do. That said, good play coming in here from Origen, grabbing this Herald. Essentially going to guarantee 2 plates, but when Neon has Chakram and can just shred 2 plates back, pressure on Origen is to get more out of it than just the initial charge.
There's also this window, and a lot of teams will do this, where you can see that his Nautilus and his Trundle are shadowing over him, that if players find themselves in this type of position, especially if they see a Herald go from grabbing the Herald to placing it top, that they can actually try to push through for both towers on the bot side and stack the waves, but it looks like because they don't see the Herald going topside from Origen, they've lost vision on where this Volibear is, that they're actually just going to feed the plates into Neon and probably rotate in mid after this.
This is going to be a bit difficult. We'll see. I like that they are splitting Odoamne off from his relatively safe farming lane, kind of limiting his impact here. Has obviously picked up the Cutlass, but you saw in the bottom lane there as Aphelios continues to push that he's built up quite a solid individual gold lead. Upset is going to start to even that out, but
here comes Herald.
Swap back over. You can see about 400 right now in favor of Aphelios, but as every other member of OG starts to back off from the Herald, Upset is going to start to even it out here when this crashes in. Additionally, because they took a few plates down before the Herald crash, OG should just be able to take this tower and shift the gold right back.
And now we're going to see where Orgy. Oh, no. Origen.
And on to the next point. Origen pushing top lane.
Why? I was so close. Man, I'm sorry.
It's fine. All right, Abbedagge on the flank. Can't see his itemization at this point, so I'm not sure if he's finished the Ludens or not, but you can see the items going through. Okay, so no Ludens. Not really a lot of damage there for the LeBlanc, much less menacing. And in the meantime, 200 years later, Inax has taken down the bottom tower.
But here's what I was talking about. Normally when teams find themselves in this type of trade, what you actually want to do is you want to stack the wave bottom and then pull someone to help you burn it down and then have that big wave crash into the second tier tower so you can either threaten that you can also take the tier 2 tower or at least give massive chip damage onto it, rather than Origen getting to place the Herald, taking one tower, matching it, and then having tempo advantage because you took the tower faster, you reset faster, you're back on the map faster, and hopefully getting there in time for this Drake, which, there they are.
25 seconds till the Drake spawns. Going to be important because, as said, while the gold is even, Schalke have the Drake advantage. The tempo advantage sits to OG, but that will eventually balance out as now Schalke have started a pick here, but there's really no damage around. Neon going to throw the ult from long range, but they've still got more than enough just coming in with the Trundle to burn down Destiny. No escape tools of his own. The flash not enough, and Schalke now have priority with the Drake. So while the initial reset looked good from OG, Schalke aggressive on that pick there are going to be able to find one, and hopefully now able to secure the Ocean Drake.
Just to go back to basics, should have walked into the mid lane, hard shoved mid, and then waited for someone to respond to it before walking into Fog of War with your Syndra. But because Origen make the mistake, face check blind without their Syndra, just with their 2 tanks, Ezreal was picking up the bottom wave. It means that Schalke get a kill and the Drake, but maybe Origen gets something here.
Dreams, of course, already used the hook, but he can't use it again. Destiny coming in, but he's a little bit behind the play. Xerxe now using the ult as Neon is just going to push him back. So OG definitely grasping at straws a little bit here to try to get something back, and Schalke continuing to set themselves up for that soul point as it will be Infernal Soul. And I just feel like you don't expect OG to slip up when it comes to the little basics and make what we can safely call there a sloppy face check.
I mean, that's exactly what OG did. I think it was against Rogue. They should have waited for Corki package, but instead, maybe it wasn't Rogue, but they should have waited for Corki package and they messed up a Rift Herald setup. And it's usually in their coordination with Nukeduck.
Something to keep our eye on as we get later into the game. See how that team coordination pays off, because Destiny is not on a champion that gets out of situations. If there's a sticky situation, Destiny is stuck there. Tahm Kench completely and totally immobile. But now Gilius has sight of Xerxe, level advantage as well, as they start to push in and get good vision control on the bottom side of the map. Going to make it a lot more difficult for Upset and Destiny to feel really safe down here. Good news is, obviously, it's Ezreal Tahm Kench. It's going to take a ton to actually kill this duo, but see now that OG are shifting more resources to the bottom side to back them up as Odoamne remains uncontested. Power farming here, getting closer and closer to that crucial Blade of the Rune King.
I was checking what Odo was doing on top side with his wave. He's not freezing it, he's actually just pushing it back, which means we're going to be in these scenarios where Odo now has time to roam down, Alphari is taking his back, Alphari is going to walk up, catch the wave, and we're just going to have these windows that each top laner is trading where Alphari's like, it's my turn to catch the wave, Odo, you can go roam around and look for a play. Odo, it's your turn to catch the wave. I'm now on the map looking for a play.
Oh, and this is going to be tough here. Okay, they spotted Gilius. They know that they can't continue on this play. Neon going to be caught out, but they don't have any way to dive into the backline. But no, they're going forward. The Ezreal ult is clutched there, and it's isolated Dreams. Dreams is going to be first on the menu. They're going to take him down. Many members of OG have now committed. Odoamne trying to push in top side. Plates are down, so he will be able to break the top lane tower. OG maybe want to look for more here, but at the end of the day, it is just going to be those 2 kills picked up back to back.
But the thing is Alphari is actually losing a lot here. So you can see that Odoamne's now just ticked over to level 11 to Renekton's level 9. Alphari, he was supposed to be there to at least pick up the CS and the gold, pushing into his wave. He used the TP, he got involved on the bottom side of the play, but as the game goes on, Alphari isn't really going to be worth a ton on this Gator, which means I think he's going to be itemizing for team fights because he's there to be like a CC flanking bot as opposed to trying to 1v1 duel this Quinn. At least that's my projection.
I think that's a completely fair projection. I think when we don't see the Blade of the Rune King come in, it's very clear that Odoamne knows his job is not to fight the Quinn.
But that then makes a win condition, or an opportunity, if you will, for Schalke to play these side lanes, especially if they do get or acquire this Infernal Soul.
And the gold, as we tick over to almost 16 minutes, is about dead even with Schalke up a tower. Now that will start to shift if OG are able to take this Herald. They do have first priority access. A ward will spot them out as the rest of Schalke start to collapse. Important to note that Nukeduck is quite far away, but the Quinn is on the bottom side, so eventually there will be a man advantage for OG here on the top side. And it looks like it's just going to go completely uncontested. Now Schalke, or not, OG, of course this Herald is only going to be useful for pressure, and the threat of taking down a tower, it is no longer worth tower plates, so not quite the same guaranteed gold investment as the first one was.
Taking another look at this replay, I think you called it best. I'm going to be honest, when I watched this, I was like, Trundle Killer really just messes up Volibear. It forced Xerxe to use his flash to gap close. Now, obviously, trading flash for flash on the ADC with your Volibear is going to feel really good. But it is something to watch in these team fights. I think Volibear loses backline threat as games scale up, especially in these compositions, and he's more just about being a super tank and standing in front of your ADC.
And I think important to note there, too, that, hold that thought, is Upset. Nothing really going to happen there. Pillar just used to create some space, and Odoamne is going to ult up with the extra movement speed. But important to note that Nukeduck having flash there is crucial. Otherwise, it only would have been the single kill. Would have been a huge resource investment from the side of OG there, but is able to clean that one up. And now as we group up into what appears to be a very standard 1-3-1 setup, maybe 4-1 as Syndra starts to clap, but Xerxe has now been caught out. He's going to be unstoppable as he goes through the air, but it's not nearly enough. The damage now coming through. Abbedagge pops right back and just a clean pick-off for the side of Schalke.
And Schalke finding a lot of space this game. We talked about how everyone's beating everyone. Schalke right now are in a position, they have a clear win condition, especially with Odo not only playing these side lanes, but also getting involved in these mid lane fights as he's hovering on the side.
Odoamne going forward on Alphari, but could be in trouble as Upset starts to throw down here. Frozen Gauntlet going to buy a bit more space. Now Alphari needs to back off here. Destiny going to try to save him for now. Abbedagge leaping forward on Nukeduck. That's the lockup. Nukeduck should just be next on the menu, but he manages to fire back. Pushed his skill button and outplayed him there. They are going to be more than enough as Destiny's now caught out here. They have to body block. They have to step forward to stop Neon from finding the kill. Neon will be able to hit Alphari, but both sides are now going to back away. It's a neck-and-neck skirmish here. Both sides are retreating though, and it is still a 2-for-1 for OG in the end.
It's the fact that Xerxe has respawned full health. Origen slowly escorting their jungler around to the front of this, and I think they're going to be able to deny this Infernal. Huge credit to Upset right there, playing the back of the fight. I also like your skill expression of Nukeduck on his R key.
I mean, that's the nice thing, right? Is that when you are caught out, if anyone ever gets too close to you, you do just get to push your skill button.
As long as you press R on Syndra.
It was a good fight. You did what you're supposed to do.
Okay, let's see how this one went down. So Alphari has to burn his flash because Odo finds him on the side here with Dreams. Dreams using the stopwatch to stall the fight out, but Upset has him in his sights. There's the skill expression from Nukeduck. Still good on the scout of the week.
A bit awkward though is we see the flash, and it looks like the cleanse as well burned there from Odoamne, and Abbedagge obviously trying to finish the kills here. Good play coming in from Alphari, stepping forward to make sure that if LeBlanc tries to go in again to finish Destiny, or if anyone else tries to step in to finish Destiny, that they will trade their life for it. So good heads-up play. Obviously a very back and forth game so far, and I gotta say we've been here before. We saw it in Schalke G2. That was a very different game, but it was surprisingly even about 13 minutes. And now in OG versus Schalke, it's also pretty close. And while OG seem to be gaining some momentum here as the Herald is used bottom, you can never underestimate, I feel like, Schalke's potential to just get an Infernal Soul and start popping people.
This is the one of the nice things about Origen's lane assignments, though, is that they can try to find this Quinn with Syndra and, you know, at least have a range versus range matchup. And if that CC hits, Syndra can obviously cause a lot of issues for Quinn, or maybe Quinn gets to outplayed if the scout of the week doesn't touch. So it's not like they just have to continuously send Alphari to get poked and prodded by this Quinn.
Very true. Downside, of course, is that Alphari has opted for full armor so far, so he's not exactly strong against LeBlanc, who also has the Oblivion Orb.
I'm not saying you put Alphari.
No, for sure. I'm just saying it's while OG I think are making the best of it, it's still a bit difficult, I think, to find these lane assignments. It will get easier, though, I feel like, as we get later and later, because Quinn's short range against the Syndra means, just like we saw in that last team fight, you know, Syndra does just get to push R on her if she is ever in auto attack range.
But now we're back playing over mid lane. Whose tower will fall first?
The true challenge. His Dreams is probably going to try to Hex Flash over. Gilius taking a lot of damage here. Quick Devour comes in from Upset. Does not have a big health bar. Has to be careful about not getting one shot here. The armor from the Iceborne will not protect him against the LeBlanc, and Dreams fearlessly stepping forward onto Nukeduck, but there's no one else nearby. The Aphelios follow-up is going to be more than enough, though, because they bring it back into the team. Nukeduck now burning down. He fires back. The skill button not enough, but Upset will finish that one off. Good damage now firing back. Flash forward, and the tongue from Destiny, and here comes Alphari. He needs to turn this fight. They burn so much to try to make this even out, but Aphelios is just too strong. They can't keep walking into him while he has the Inferno, but he's doing too much damage, but Upset, he's trying to find the Miracle Cube. Maybe he can get it done. Dreams is first. Now Upset can turn this. The shift back in. This is an absolute mess, but OG win it.
Upset is hard carrying these team fights. That's two now really crucial skirmishes back to back, where Upset on the Ezreal has been the difference maker, where it kind of looks like it's down and out for Origen, that Schalke kind of get the initial sucker punch, that he's able to even it out in the end. So let's take another look at this one. Dreams obviously flashes forward. You then have Abbedagge, the human Nidalee spear, right into the back line there to get the dive. Alphari does catch him coming over from the corner, and like, it's at this point that things look pretty good for Origen. You're like, okay, here comes Alphari. He's going to grab Dreams and Neon. But a really nice hook, I think it was, from Dreams, stalls out. Yeah, the disruption stalls out Alphari, and he's not able to pick them up. But Upset's like, it's okay, man. You bought me enough time. I've lined up the shot.
That's why I love the Iceborne Gauntlet, when you've got melee champions that want to chase down as well. But well played to Upset, as you said. And I do love Alphari, who's yet to get a kill this game, showing up on the side to be like, now is finally my time. I'm going to take down this LeBlanc, who W's back just to get hit by a Syndra Q, I think it was, to go down. So got to appreciate that one, as the cheeky smite from Xerxe will deny Aphelios. And in that last fight, my God, Neon versus Upset seems to be the only two people who matter in this game right now.
I feel like when you have Renekton, like, you lock him in, and in the lane, you're like, I feel so powerful. And then you gotta get to these moments, you're like, why did I do this to myself? I can't reach anyone.
The cycle. That's why people who main Renekton in solo queue are, like, probably really happy people, because every solo queue game is like 20 minutes. But then the second you get into pro, it's so sad, because it's so hard to end a game that quickly.
He's got 7 assists.
He's doing real good.
Support Renekton.
Support Renekton. And of course, very difficult matchup, but I think the good news is the Renekton has continued to be a thorn in the side of Schalke in these fights, and while the Quinn has had a few good moments, it's 0-2-5 for Odoamne, so his CS lead is not resulting in any greater advantage
I think the big breaking point for Schalke, as we kind of turn the lens and look at them, because they're also still in this game, is going to be the next itemization for Abbedagge. You know, he's starting to do sizable damage. There needs to come a point on kind of second or third item when he hits that back line and he start really blowing people up, as well as for Neon. So that's kind of what Schalke, I think, are sitting for. They need to make sure that they're funneling the gold appropriately into Abbedagge to get him to that point and have this LeBlanc actually be a threat to the back line.
Additionally, Neon and Abbedagge, though, splitting a bit of farm here, just trying to hold on to the mid lane tower. Neon continues to step forward, and of course for him, looks like we're going to have the Phantom Dancer next, so we'll get the Lifeline passive, can mitigate some of the bursts coming in, as well as make moving in the team fights easier, but it's not nearly the same sustained potential as the likes of the Death Stance. And it looks like OG are just going to grab a second Infernal completely and totally uncontested, because Dreams is on a walkabout. Doesn't want to fight that one, is instead just going to walk up to the top lane and put some vision down on that Baron.
I mean, I don't think it's so much Dreams is on a walkabout as it is Schalke. Like, we cannot fight for this. We have no mid lane priority. We're actually in between items. We want to get to those. And the objective we'll challenge them on will be the Baron. So Dreams, go ward.
There you go. The team asked Dreams to go on the walkabout.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's an important distinction. One is flaming the player. One is a recognition of the team understanding their strengths and
Don't
weaknesses.
worry, I'm having a hard time with words too.
It's fine. It's OG, you know? Sounds like a lot of things.
Okay, but why does it have to be OG and Origen?
It's true, I can't unhear it now. Anyway, battle for first place. Wow, coming up next, Mad Lions versus Rogue. What a thrilling game. This is really the 5-star, 7-course meal of the day. And afterwards, maybe we'll get a sloppy dinner, you know, at 3 a.m. We'll see what that next game looks like. Could be a fine wine, could be a fine dessert.
That's the question about G2 Fnatic. No one knows if you're gonna get like 3 a.m. kebab or if you're gonna get like super amazing dessert after Rogue versus Mad for first.
Is it the icing on the cake or is it the sloppy 3 a.m. dinner? We'll never know. Actually, we will know in a couple of hours. But for now, we'll have to hold it as Upset is not gonna get caught out there. Good timing from Destiny to save that one.
Okay, thank you, observers, for showcasing the vision, because I believe Alphari is going to start making his way over there and try to get these big flanks. They're herding him towards the Gator.
They're trying to do it.
Who's flanking who? Alphari's like, oh, they might be coming down to the jungle.
See,
he goes the long way
he's
around.
Seen the EU Twisted Fates, and he goes, if I flank without my team, I will die. It's a lesson we've learned the past few weeks, EU mid laners, EU solo laners.
But Schalke getting out positioned there. Great use of the Abyssal Voyage, obviously, for Origen to play to their waves, pushing wave up into the top side. And now, Schalke, this is a tough choice. The Bird's like, please help me. Team, please.
He looks really menacing flying around back there. Schalke need to kick off a fight here, or are they just going to give this tower and walk away? Dreams misses the hook. Abbedagge goes forward. Gilius is now on the backside. They have a lot of engage here. Aphelios is coming up as well, but they have to be careful. Knockup going to come through. It is going to connect on Upset, but there's no follow-up damage. Neon instead backing up that TP from Alphari, buying so much space, and now G2 are in absolute control of the fight, but this is Schalke's time to turn. Eyes on Neon. Caliber is going to be massive. That's going to be the ult as well. That's a lot of marks, and that's a ton of damage coming in from the Aphelios. Still, only a single kill taken away. OG are not going to overstep this time. They learned from their mistakes yesterday. They're going to play it nice and slow. They will not overcommit into this Aphelios.
The coordination just isn't there for Schalke. You know, it's small things like the Trundle pillar coming up when Dreams doesn't have the Q, so he's forced to use the ult instead. The fact that they don't turn to the teleport coming behind them. Like, Dreams didn't really have any cooldowns. He's basically like, this Renekton comes in on this TP, I guess I could slap him, but that's about it. I just dropped my ultimate. I already threw my Q.
I think it's a good call out for Froskurinn. We just see very scattered.
So right before this replay, Dreams throws the Q, which is why he doesn't open up with it. He opens up instead with the ultimate, then has to Q back. He's like, okay, I now don't have a Q, I don't have an R. I'm gonna try to flash away.
No, gets chipped out, and then we see obviously very powerful Aphelios all here doing a lot of damage. But OG don't overcommit into that. They see the shock room stacked up. They just back off. They use, at this point, superior range to play it out slowly, and they'll take down that top lane inhibitor at very low cost to themselves. All their flashes are still up and available for the next fight.
And this is why Abbedagge's itemization was really important, because you talked about it, superior range. When you have the Syndra threat of the Scout of the Week, and then you have Upset, who is just pumping out damage on this Ezreal and just dancing around the team fight, Abba needs to have the damage that if he gets into the backline, because he's one of the few champions that he can dissuade that from happening. But if he's not blowing anyone up and not bursting anyone, basically Origen are just hands on Schalke's forehead, keeping him at arm's length.
Yeah, the little brother fighting through.
Slowly walking him down.
Maybe Alphari's going to get caught out here, though. Good damage coming in, but they are not doing a lot here to Alphari. Deathstan's going to buy him a bit more time as another TP is going to come in. The Syndra's going to come in and one-shot someone on the backside. Bye-bye, Odoamne. Push R for the kill, and now Abbedagge has to run, but they've connected the Scatter of the Week. One more dash, chilling smite, and, well, they're going to dunk him down. It might take a second, but bye-bye to Abbedagge. Well played from OG. Sadly, it's going to cost them elsewhere on the map, as now Gilius is on the hunt. Neon. Destiny will drop, so Schalke at least gets something back here.
But that was so sick from Alphari! Ever seen a blast cone used like that?
It was good. I think sadly the thing is that while LeBlanc hits him like a truck, he's got a lot of armor. The Quinn is not doing a ton here. She does not really have any armor pen items yet, so a bit difficult to watch. And now the Alphari that was bullied around all laning phase is completely uncontested on this push. A nice sidestep from Upset, and now Neon doesn't have a path back to his base.
I'm gonna be honest, Upset looks like he's playing with his food right now.
Absolutely is, and boom, big dive comes in from Xerxe. Dreams got out as well. Gilius gonna run for the hills, and Alphari does not want to fight this Quinn, but he definitely wants a piece of Gilius as he's gonna move in for that one. And oh, look at that, just in time for the R cooldown. Odoamne, it might as well be named after you. Abbedagge will retreat, and for OG, it looks like we are going to have a swift end here. 29 minutes into the game. It felt like it was neck and neck for the first 15 to 20, but OG pulled ahead and outplayed in these team fights. The second that top lane inhibitor was down, game was just about over. So that's going to do it. Sadly for Schalke, not able to find a win here. Will be 0-7 as OG clean up their performance yesterday and impress individually across the entirety of this game. And they're going to move up to 4-3.
There were some moments, some small windows where Schalke fans maybe felt the hope bubble inside them. But you called it. Origen at the end of elongated team fights, especially Upset in particular for me, stood up, delivered when it counted.
Hit the cues. That's what matters in those late game fights. Found the angles, did not overcommit, did not overstep. And while I'm not always excited about the Ezreal Tahm Kench bot lane, it certainly was effective that game. Now, your key player of the game at LEC on Twitter, Alphari, Nukeduck, or Upset. That's a tough one.
No, it's not.
It's Upset. It's pretty easy. Unless you, like me, lack mechanical skill and you like people that can push a single button to win the game. No, Nukeduck's very good, but that was not skill expression. He just pushed R on Quinn 3 times that game.
Okay, yes, but the Scout of the Weeks were very good. Yeah,
that's true.
The R, that's easy to hit.
But I think if you're voting for Nukeduck, you're voting for one-shotting with R. Like, that's what that vote means.
I mean, he had that sick teleport when Alphari played around.
Nukeduck, great.
I can see it. It's
one-shotting with R. Ooh,
it's
even better. I think it's debate. You can let us know what you think. Again, not trying to flame Nukeduck. Great Syndra game. But there is some special comedy in my heart to us building up Odoamne. He finally gets a positive matchup. He wins his lane. He spends every team fight back-to-back getting R pushed on him and getting one shot before he can do anything. Absolutely brutal. But coming up next, the surprise teams, Rogue and Mad Lions, they're going to hit the Rift in the battle for first. This is one you do not want to miss.
LeBlanc's gonna eat up some damage, but he eats up a double. Kazi takes another, takes a third.
We will look to diversify our playstyles and like play more champions maybe, play around different lanes, so we are not as like predictable as last year.
He gets 2.
I think Mad has some really high highs, but I think they also have some low lows. If you target their weak points, you can beat them pretty easily. It's not a team that I feel very threatened by.
So bad, the thing you never.
Charged up. Hello, everybody. Let the game begin.
and welcome back to the LEC. Laure here. Origen just won their second game of the week, and I have Xerxe with me. Not to talk about the game, actually. Hi, Xerxe.
Hi.
Okay, so I need you for something special. Sometimes I like to talk about picks in general because I feel like the audience can learn something before going into their next solo queue adventures. So today's topic is going to be Volibear. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's go.
Cool. We had this conversation with Xerxe 1 week ago because we saw Volibear played top lane. Now we saw it jungle. I'm interested in seeing if we can see this champion support later on. But about Volibear jungle, how good is it right now?
I would say it's a bit overrated, to be honest. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think most of the reworks are pretty good. Obviously, like this one was a bit weak on release, but after the hotfix buffs, like he's looking a bit. He's obviously much better. But I would say like people overrate him right now.
Okay, so you would see some changes with Volibear. What would you change, actually?
I mean, I would say like the champion is like fine at the moment.
Okay.
It's just like the way it's being picked right now. Like people just give him too much value, but I think like it's totally a fine pick.
Okay, overused, and maybe players didn't still find the proper answer against Volibear. Here you were playing against Trundle. How does this one match up against Trundle exactly? How does it work?
I can, as you saw in the first clip, and my champion just has so much damage that there isn't much he can do in the river. So like you can just pretty much just beat him 1v1.
Okay, good 1v1 champion. I know you can't say too much about the matchups for obvious reasons and strategic reasons here, but what do you need in draft to make Volibear successful? Not the champions per se, but what tools do you need?
Well, I personally like having Yuumi with it because it's just like everything you want from your support. It gives you like movement speed, heals, and attack speed, and you can just go crazy in teamfights. So like enchanter supports are probably the best. I see. And
now we know that the jungle meta is very diverse right now. We see many different picks, carry junglers, tank junglers, whatever. What's your take on the jungle meta at the moment and the types of champions you can play as a whole?
Yeah, like so the meta is pretty like I feel like you can play anything you're good at. Like you can play tanks, carries, like supports, like hell, anything you want really, like anything you're good at. So it's like totally up to the player's preference. Okay. So in this setup, I'm waiting for your crazy picks to appear again because I know you have some tricks up your sleeve. So we'll see that in the upcoming weeks. Thank you, Xerxe, for all these insights, and I hope the viewers learned something through your thoughts here. Thank you. Thank you as well. And we'll see you in a few minutes for the unofficial match of the week, Rogue versus Mad Lions in a few minutes. Stay tuned.
我就看他们名字就觉得很期待，不知道为什么，这都是他们平时就是做给自己的就是外表形象，就让大家都觉得这家的比赛应该是很精彩的感觉。
The games have often been the deciding games to see who actually comes out on top, who's gonna win the entire split. There has been so much good individual play, good team play, aggression, creative plays, creative picks coming out of all these matches, and G2 and Fnatic matches have always been the highest level of play in Europe.